It's over, guys. It was a fun run, but it's over now.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is JD Young, and on today's episode of Locked On Sharks, we're going to talk about some of the interesting lines and decisions in the game that was played tonight. Why it's time to bring up Cagnoni and Musty and Bystedt and all those kids now. Well, first we're going to start with the Sharks, whose season or playoff hopes are basically over at this point after a 6-1 thrashing by the Anaheim Ducks. The Sharks now have a less than 5% chance to make the playoffs at this point, and would take a small miracle for them to achieve postseason status. But it's okay. It's been a hell of a season for them. So let's start there where this season's at, right? And again, they're not mathematically eliminated. I think their tragic number is 6, which is basically a combination of how many points the Sharks lose. So if they, for example, on Saturday, if they lose 2 points there, combined with how many points the Kings, who are in the number 1 spot, or in that final wild card spot right now, how many they win. So it's pretty much kind of done for San Jose here, as they're, again, just about eliminated here with their their tragic number is 5 now from Hockey Magic numbers at the moment. So their tragic number is 5 after the Kings win tonight. Does that actually? Yes. So after the Kings win tonight, it is officially 5 left. So basically any losses of points or points gained by the Kings, it's over. So I think Monday is most likely the earliest that the Sharks could actually be officially eliminated. So they're going to continue to do their thing, right? As the Sharks play Saturday. So even if they lost to Vancouver on Saturday, and then if the Kings, their schedule here, so they play, because they're kind of in the same position, they play on Edmonton. So even if they won, that would be 4 points. So Monday's the first official Monday's game would be the first official game where the Sharks could actually be eliminated. But still, it's been a good, right? If you told any of us, I think in October, that the Sharks would be fighting for a playoff spot, basically going into the last week of the season, most of us would have called you a liar, instead of okay, yeah, right type of thing. And for San Jose, just the year of growth that they've had this season of, having Macklin Celebrini just showing he is going to be a legitimate superstar in the NHL, and seeing glimpses of him doing that, and not just glimpses of him, of stretches of him putting the team on his back and playing, some hockey that's among the best in the NHL, and having these massive moments, and right where it's not just that cool Celebrini thing of the night. He's legitimately one of the best players in the NHL already. Right. I mean, I'm really intrigued. Every year, Locked On, we do our rankings, our top 10 or our top 100 player rankings. I am very interested to see where Celebrini ranks among my peers. And I think suggesting that he's a top 10 player at this rate of his career is not too outlandish, to be honest. And, having that player and having everything kind of hopefully fall into place here, and realizing, again, I know we talked about it yesterday, but most of your core pieces here are 19, 20, 21, maybe 23 at the most, with guys like William Eklund and Colin Graf. You have just a ton of runway, and the fact that we're even in it this far for this long, I think is a testament to their growth. And was a lot of it Macklin Celebrini dragging this team, kicking and screaming, 100%. But as the rest of the team starts to kind of catch up to Celebrini and his growth here, I think it bodes well for San Jose. So it's a bummer that like watching / covering playoff hockey would have been super fun. Like it would have been super fun. And it's 100%. It's disappointing that we're not going to be able to do that. But like as Sharks fans, you shouldn't be disappointed with the way this season has gone. Can you be disappointed with how they played these last 2 games? 100%. And I think that's still a testament of kind of how far this team has to go. And, we talked about it a bunch after the Oilers game yesterday of just like that playing and switching into that playoff style hockey. And, credit to the Ducks tonight, right? And if you watch the preview, I was like, man, I think the Ducks are probably overdue for a bunch of goals. And yeah, they got a bunch of goals tonight. But I mean, this Ducks team, right? You saw them selling out all night tonight to block shots, and the Sharks, who like we're not going to do our normal lines and numbers and stuff like that. Like at 5-on-5, the Sharks had 54 shot attempts compared to the Ducks 45, but the Sharks only got in this game, right? They got 19 shots on goal. That's just a credit to the Ducks, who are just willing to kind of, do the little things that you need to do to win playoff style games. And the Sharks just aren't there yet. And, but again, like getting a taste of this now, I think is going to set up this team for success sooner rather than later. And that, like, knowing what they have to do and the style of hockey they have to play, and the injection of talent that is needed on the blue line, especially. And the Sharks, they need some of their forwards. And I mean, the offense was just struggled tonight and has struggled as of late. Right. You need some of you've gotten a lot of your forwards have gone really quiet and such, but just it's so exhausting for this team to just get the puck out of their own zone. And it just takes so much for them to advance it just to the neutral zone, let alone the offensive zone, that it hinders your offense so much because of just how much energy is required to just get the puck from the defensive zone to the neutral zone to the offensive zone. It's like an entire shift there. And then as soon as the other team gets it, it's just back to square one for you. But positively tonight, like the Sharks are still in a good position when it comes to the tank, because again, there's so many Eastern Conference teams who are just better than the Western Conference when it comes to the points. So I'm pulling it up right now if you're watching on YouTube, but like the Sharks are currently sitting 9th right now at Tankathon with 81 points. And that is an accurate like points and point percentage. It's kind of, since we're getting down to the nitty gritty here, the point percentage is going to be like, it's going to be pretty accurate here. You don't have to worry about that. So, but even, like looking at the teams who are behind them that you might have to potentially worry about like catching or anything like that, you don't really like. It goes like San Jose has at 81, Winnipeg's at 80, or New Jersey's at 83, Winnipeg's at 82 here, and then Nashville's at 84, and then you have like Washington, Columbus. Like there's not like a realistic world where the Sharks are going to catch and surpass a bunch of these teams here. Maybe like New Jersey or like Winnipeg, there's some flip-flopping or something like that. But this team is going to be, going into the draft lottery with a top 10 pick here. And then whatever happens with the Oilers pick, like, again, you got your cake in competing in a playoff hunt. And you're going to eat it too by having what's most likely a top 10 pick in this year's draft. And, there's going to be like this 4-game, winning streak. Did it potentially cost him in the draft as slots? Yeah, maybe. Right. But again, I still think the that experience is going to be so good for these players on this team, right? And these core players like Eklund and Celebrini and Smith and stuff. And you never like this. I have a really was in like kind of gut feeling that it's going to be a really interesting draft and draft process, especially because right after and even McKenna, like there isn't a slam dunk number one, and I do think McKenna is going to be the number one pick, but it's not like a slam dunk number one like we've seen the last 3 years or so. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different boards, and you never know how the draft is going to work out, with who rises, who falls, and stuff like that. So the Sharks are still going to get a really quality player at number 10 and someone who's going to be a core piece for this franchise. And again, you got your cake and you got to eat it too. So I think though now as this team kind of shifts in these final 4 games for them, it's time to let some of the younger players also get a taste of it here, so that way they can be better prepared for training camp and such next week. So or next season. So we're going to talk about it, why it's time to bring up the CUDA players and who I think should get a call up here. So we'll get to that in just 1 second. Spring is a natural reset point, and there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money: is messy communication. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. Great thing about it is everything lives in one clean thread. Calls, text, voicemails, the whole team can see the conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. And you get AI summarizations that save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It makes your business feel more organized and responsive. So make this a season where no opportunity and, more importantly, no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNHL. That's quo.com/LockedOnNHL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right. Do, of course, want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't checked out the Everydayer Club, perfect time to do so. Ad-free episodes of Locked On Sharks, as well as access to our group chat with me and a wonderful group of listeners over at our Discord. It's great. We have a really good time over there. So I really enjoyed the Discord group. So tap the link in the show notes or head over to lockedonsharks.supercast to learn more. So with the Sharks in this position where they are, again, they're not mathematically over. It's not mathematically done, but it's done. I think Hockey Stats has them at 4% likely to make the playoffs. Basically, the Kings all but locked up that last spot tonight. Their win combined with the Nashville loss here, it's getting close to kind of locking things up. So good for them. All those overtime appearances paid off for them. So happy for them. They're at 85 points. Preds are at 84, but the Kings do have a game in hand, as well as like their schedule as we've gone through before. It's super soft. So looks like it's going to be the Kings most likely getting that final wild card spot. So and getting a date with the President's Trophy winner, Colorado Avalanche. So, but for the Sharks here, right? You have some games coming up, right? You're playing Vancouver, you're playing Chicago, you're playing Nashville, then you play Winnipeg, right? This is the perfect time to call up some of your Barracuda players. And I know the Barracuda still have plenty to play for right now, right? As they've clinched their playoff, the playoff spot. And they're still kind of fighting a little bit for seeding here. Like they're not going to get that number 1 seed at this moment. Like they kind of went on a cold streak here. So they're still kind of fighting for seeding and fighting for potential home ice advantage in the first round. If the playoffs were to start today, they would be playing Coachella Valley, with Coachella Valley kind of having the home ice advantage, as Coachella Valley is 1 point ahead of Coachella Valley, and Henderson are both 1 point ahead of them. But they play Henderson this weekend, so it's a big series this weekend on Friday and Saturday. So like if they win this series, like they could be very much back in the 3 spots. So but I do think like for that Monday game against, Barracuda play Friday, they play Saturday. I think for that Monday game, like against the Blackhawks, like that road trip, I'm calling them up and giving these guys a taste. And I think for players, like what I would do, honestly, is the Sharks don't really have people to send down other than Igor Chernyshov, right? I would send Chernyshov down to go play in the Barracuda for the rest of the season. Maybe let him play on Saturday, but then I would probably, swap, right? Send him down because he hasn't really looked super great as of late. It was a healthy scratch tonight. I would send him down, let him kind of gear up for a playoff run with the Barracuda. So, but I'm calling up Luca Cagnoni. I'm calling up Quentin Musty. I'm calling up Filip Bystedt. I'm calling those 3 players up. And if you're worried about call-ups and stuff like that, like, because you only get so many, like, you could just say somebody's Tyler Toffoli, hey, buddy, thank you for your services, buddy. Why don't you start your summer vacation a little early, right? Barkley Goodrow, thank you for your service. Why don't you start your summer vacation a little bit, right? Plenty of Orlov, hey man, why don't you start your summer vacation a little bit early? John Klingberg, let Klingberg play. I think he's got 699 career game. Let him play his 700th career game. Klingberg, thank you for your services. Why don't you start your summer vacation a little early, type of thing. Just right. Injury, this time of year, the NHL doesn't care. You can come up with injuries and stuff. It doesn't matter. Like especially for a team that's not like, they don't care. You can come up with something. Every player's hurt at this point. So by bringing up Cagnoni, I'm giving him the power play 1. Okay, buddy, we got nothing to play for. Go. What happened? Does it matter if the Sharks lose to the Blackhawks, or lose to Nashville, or lose to Winnipeg? No, it doesn't matter. If anything, it's more of an incentive for them to lose. So bring up Musty, bring up Cagnoni, bring up Bystedt. Let these guys get a taste of the NHL here, right? And especially for guys like Bystedt and Musty, who have put together really nice seasons in the AHL, who have not played NHL games yet, right? This is their reward right here, and let them get that opportunity to play NHL games and get a nice road trip out of it. I think going to Chicago, Nashville, yeah, I know Winnipeg as well, but like worst places to travel to, get that NHL money for a little bit and let them get a taste of it. And I think this is a perfect time to do that. If you want to bring up Nolan Allen too, cool, man. I don't care. At this point, the Sharks defense cannot get any worse than what it's been as of late. So I think it's 100% time to reward these guys and put them in positions to succeed, right? Put Quentin Musty on the top line with Will Smith and with Macklin Celebrini. Put Filip Bystedt, like, you can slide Misa to the wing for a little bit, or I don't care. Like, you can find a place for Filip Bystedt. You can put Bystedt on the wing if you want, for like that stuff. Like, doesn't matter as much right now. It's just more about letting them play and get that experience and get that taste. And if you're potentially dangling any of these players, all 3 potentially, if you're trying to swing for something massive, like it gives you some little bit of tape here where you can just like, hey, I know these games didn't mean anything, but look what Musty did in the NHL. Look what Bystedt did in the NHL. Look at what all these lets them know what they have to work on going into it. And then you just send them back down to the AHL so they can, as soon as the Sharks season's over on Thursday, they have the Barracuda play again next weekend. You can they can be back in with the Barracuda, playing Barracuda games and getting ready for a playoff push here as well. So yeah, the Barracuda schedule, they can be in Bakersfield for the final game if you want on the 18th, right? Or you can just have them in San Jose ready for the playoffs that'll start the next weekend. There's actually, sorry, it's at home. It's at home on the 17th or on the 18th. So you can do that and have them at home ready to go. You can load up your Barracuda team as much as you want there with all your kind of top prospects. And yeah, doesn't hurt the Barracuda. So I think that's the strategy that I'm doing, is let them play this weekend versus Henderson, see if they can kind of solidify their position a little bit. Potentially, you have a game versus Coachella on Tuesday, you have a game versus Bakersfield on Friday at Bakersfield, and then you bring them, a game versus for the Barracuda at least, and then a game versus Bakersfield on Saturday. The seeding doesn't really matter as much. It's fine. It's fine. And it's not like they're massive road trips, right? You're going down to Coachella Valley, you're going to Henderson, or you're going to Bakersfield. It's not like a huge road trip for you. So, yeah, let them go. Bring them up. Gives us something to watch. So, we're going to talk about some of the interesting decisions tonight the Sharks made, including with lines, as well as playing time, all that fun stuff. As again, the Sharks lost 6-1, and their season is basically over at this point. All right, so very interesting lines tonight. And again, I know you scored 1 goal, you got 19 shots on goal tonight. I get it. If you're Ryan Warsofsky, you're grasping at anything or everything that can potentially spark this team to get some sort of offensive production. And congrats to Mook Madulin for getting, of course, back in the lineup and getting a goal. But the Shark, Igor Chernyshov, again, I don't mind sitting Chernyshov tonight. Chernyshov's been really quiet since his return to the NHL, and even his time in the AHL before his injury, since when he got returned. He hasn't really kind of lit things up here, to be honest. It's been really quiet for him. His last 5 games, no goals, no assists, no points. He's getting a couple shots on goal type of thing. And I know the time on ice, it was dwindling. I think he played less than 11 minutes against Edmonton. You could see the writing on the wall that he's probably going to get scratched here at some point. So I think though for him, makes sense, right? And especially in a game that's very much, this is it. Your back's against the wall. You have to win this game to keep your season alive in any ways, shape, or form. I get it. You want to kind of maybe swing for a guy like Regenda. I'm gonna say the Chernyshov one is I'm totally fine with that. But Ty Dellandrea, who gets absolutely walked tonight, and then somehow continually falls up into the lineup here, where he's playing with Graf and Smith at some points here. It's just weird, man. You're in a must-win game, and I know, right? The Ducks scored 2 in the first, and you kind of felt okay, if you get the next goal, you're right back in it. And then, of course, it gets to 4-0 and 5, whatever I forget was it 4 it was 4-1. Sharks like Mook Madillan school. Like I get it, right? And it was pretty by the middle of the second period, it was pretty clear like the Sharks were not winning this game. But like Will Smith is playing like 17 minutes tonight and not playing with Macklin Celebrini. Will Smith, who's one of your best players, and I thought Will Smith looked perfectly fine tonight. Was playing, and again, like or Michael Misa, who's we've been dying to get some sort of if more ice time, plays 13 minutes tonight. Is just very much a interesting combination with like some of the guys who brought in, and Regenda. I'd like to see Regenda play, right? I think Regenda's a solid player, but it's just like I don't know about Warsofsky. I'm not on the fire Warsofsky because I do want to see what happens when you get like some actual NHL talent on the blue line and it's not weighing this team down. But nights like tonight make it really hard to defend Warsofsky at times. And I know there's plenty of people are out. I get it 100%. I'm not quite there yet, but again, like I said, tonight makes it really hard to defend him at times because of just some of the decisions. And right, you have a like I said, Dellandrea playing with Graf and Smith, and it's not like the Celebrini line was the Celebrini Smith line was fine tonight. Like they played 13 and a half minutes, 12-7 shot attempts, 4-4 actual shots, 0.13. Like the Sharks' problem tonight is they couldn't get stuff on net, and the Ducks did a really great job of protecting in front of the crease. Like the Sharks' inability to get shots on goal from in front of Dostal, that's always been their thing, right? There's such a quality over quantity type of team, and when you do like tonight, where the Sharks just unable to generate shots from up close and get those quality chances up close, you see what happens to the offense. The offense just goes in the tank tonight. And they just weren't able to generate those high danger chances to a high enough chance. Like the Eklund Wenberg Sherwood line was hilarious tonight because 9:49 time on ice, 12-8 shot attempts, 1-7 actual shots. So 12 shot attempts, they get 1 on net. They give up 8, and 7 of those 8 get onto the net. And it's just like that's just the perfect example. But like that line's been like your best line basically the last 2 weeks here, right? And their ability to create quality chances. And just tonight they couldn't do it. I think credit to the Ducks there. But I just think in a situation where it's your last stand type of game, like it's do or die, your season's basically on the line. Like, why are you just not riding your best players until it's basically like it's over? And again, like Will Smith, and it's not like there was a bunch of penalties and stuff. Like there was no penalties in this game until the third period, right? And of course the Sharks, going back to Monday's game against the Blackhawks, the Sharks had given up goals on 6 straight power plays. It finally ended with the second of the 5-on-3 penalties when the Ducks basically just kind of sat on the puck and did nothing for the rest of that power play after Karlsson scored his hat trick. It was just one of the, it's been bad. Everything's been bad as of late. And I think Warsofsky just kind of, right, you can only move the deck chairs on the Titanic so many times before it just doesn't really matter. But I don't know, like I think sometimes he gets a little too trigger happy when it comes to some of the line blending and some of the roster decisions. And again, when you're this, it's very much your last stand game, do or die. Basically, the season's on the line. Not just riding your best players and guys like Dellandrea and continue to get shine. Like that's gonna be the thing that gets Warsofsky in trouble the most is his constant defaulting to veterans, right? And like Sam Dickinson had a brutal night tonight, right? But how often have we seen like Dickinson make mistakes and then he gets benched? But then guys like Orlov makes the exact same mistake, and it's just, or Ferraro makes the exact same mistake, and that's where I think where his reliance on veterans who are just like who have a safer floor but nowhere near the ceiling, that's what's going to get him in trouble. And we've talked about before, but he needs to sometimes just embrace what he has. And if he has just a young, chaotic team that's going to make dumb mistakes, sometimes you just got to live with the dumb mistakes, let them figure it out. And I think that's kind of where the Sharks, they need to learn to not make as many of the dumb mistakes, and that's part of their growing process. But they're not going to learn how to not make dumb mistakes without actually just making the dumb mistakes. And I do think that's why we continue to see Dickinson in the lineup, but so you can just kind of continue to make dumb mistakes and learn from them, hopefully. But yeah, just some interesting decisions. And I'm one of my like early offseason projects here is going to be digging into the Warsofsky idea and what happens and kind of what to expect from Warsofsky and stuff going forward here. But I don't think he's like, I would at this point, I'd be shocked, to be honest, if he gets fired, because again, with the expectations this team had and where they've ended the season or where the season's gone. Yes, the end of the season hasn't been like sparkling, but this team's outperformed what all of us thought they'd be. And I think a lot Celebrini gets a lot of that credit, but I don't think Mike Grier is going to do the Warsofsky thing yet. So that's going to be it for me. We'll be back on Saturday. We'll have a preview, of course, for the Canucks game. And then we will break down the Canucks game on Saturday night as well. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till then, bye, friends.